This webinar is being recorded. By participating in this webinar, you agree that Angelique Robbins has all rights to this recording, and you grant her permission to use your image in any written or spoken comments you choose to offer during the course of the webinar in any manner she chooses. Do you guys all agree to this?
Yes.
Okay. So if everyone could just mute yourselves, we will go ahead and start. So just close your eyes and relax. I'm going to sing, and after I sing, you're going to be speaking with Geschichte, who is the angels that I met in my near-death experience a long time ago. Oh, say, Safanata. Oh, say, Safanata. Ooh, ooh, hey, ha, say, say, can, ha, say, say, can. Ooh, safe no. Ooh, for say, ah, safe no. Say can. Ah, hey, onote, ah, hey, onote, come forte, he come forte, come forte, he come forte, ah, hey, onote, ah, hey, onote, oh, oh, Satyankenu Nyam 48 Nyam 48 Om 4 Satyankenu. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to allow 3 more people in. Good to see everyone today. Thank you so much for being here on this call. Lots of work to do in the realm of emotions for the world, isn't there? Lots going on. So what we'd like is to kind of get the temperature of each one of you who want to share and what you think we should be bringing to the table right now in regard to this alchemy process. So for any of you that wants to share, why don't you give us your concern or the essential emotional temperature of whatever area you're in, whatever people you know, whatever you yourself are experiencing, and let's put it in the pot, so to speak. So who would like to contribute? So Linda, you contributed already, yes? So can you, we're gonna unmute you for a second. Well, we can't, you muted yourself.
Okay, there we go. I'm unmuted now.
So what were you wanting to bring to the table? Grief?
Grief, sadness, and that feeling in grief when you don't understand
Okay.
why it's happening.
Okay, good. Who else would like to add to the pot? Go ahead, Susan.
Anger and confusion.
Okay. Very good. And please, everyone, mute yourselves. So Pat says trapped. Okay, very good.
Should we just type it in?
You can just say it, Elaine. We can hear you.
I've had a very wider range of being ungrounded, being depressed, and then what I'm picking up for other people is being discouraged.
Okay.
They're getting down about being stuck in and the economy and things like that.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And Lori says fear of what is to come. Okay. And Mona, could you please mute yourself because we can't mute you for some reason. There we go. Does anyone else want to share?
Yeah, for me, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so for me, it's more a pretty extreme anger and with a strong need for things to change, but also being terrified of making that change happen.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Sana. Anyone else? These are all very good and very accurate. So what we're going to do, for those of you that have never been on one of these before, with all emotional energy, there are what we consider to be immature and mature stages, and everything in between. And you don't really understand what these stages are until you allow yourself to really go into the emotional energy itself and feel its transformational process. So in the realm of emotion, this is something that is not very well understood for the most part in your world. And yet it's probably the most important thing to understand in regard to your entire existence, because your entire existence is actually an emotional journey. So to understand how to interact with your emotions is of the utmost importance, considering that when you really take into account your perception, the memories that you have, what you're thinking when you come to the end of your life, you realize that it's all related to emotion. And if you didn't participate in your emotional journey with awareness, then you've missed out on a lot of your life. And if you did not participate in your emotional journey with awareness, then you never really learned how to take uncomfortable emotions and turn them into something enjoyable, which means that you were a victim to your own emotional instability. Now, to really understand this, to understand the truth of emotional instability, is to understand that at the root of emotional instability is insecurity. Insecurity about everything you can imagine. Everything in regard to yourself, everything in regard to how the world works, everything in regard to your relationships. It is actually through the insecurity, which comes from not being able to understand. That's essentially what insecurity is. It's the lack of understanding. This is where all of the emotional pain really comes from. So to avoid understanding emotion is to avoid learning how to make your life the most enjoyable that it can be. It's also the number one way to avoid actually being empowered in your own life. So the importance of emotional alchemy cannot be emphasized enough. When you realize that your emotional self is yours to mold, yours to work with, yours to interact with, that you are not a prisoner to it, that it does not have to be what controls you. When you realize this, your entire life changes. When your emotional self changes, your perspectives change, your confidence changes, your ability to interact with life and navigate life changes. The entire thing changes. And what humanity is experiencing right now is the collective reflection of this extreme insecurity, this extreme lack of confidence in oneself, an extreme lack of confidence in society itself, an extreme lack of confidence in your own health, an extreme lack of confidence in your ability to rise above whatever it is. Yes? So to be able to face these emotions and understand them deeply in order to problem solve how to create strength within them is crucial. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of you as a group and the emotions that we can feel with this group. And we're going to also take humanity as a whole and all of the emotions that we can feel with humanity as a whole. And we're going to basically create an emotional soup where we're going to take that energy and transform it into a more mature version. So there's different aspects of why that's important, of some of which we've just discussed. But the other component of why this is important is that in a physical reality, energy precedes. So anything that is happening energetically, you will see play out physically. This is just the way it works. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's fact. So with that knowledge, with that understanding, you realize that it is imperative to know how to work with emotional energy, since emotional energy precedes what you experience physically. And it makes you realize that learning how to have authority within your own emotional world is absolutely imperative in order to have authority within your physical world. So do you guys understand all of this? This is why one of our number one teachings is that denial is darkness. Any single movement, no matter how spiritual it claims to be, if it teaches you to not look darkness in the eye, it is not truly spiritual. All right, so what we want you guys to be able to do is deeply go within yourselves and find your center in this space of your heart, okay? So the best way to describe what it's like to get into this space is this is the space which when you feel love towards someone else, you feel it, you feel that warmth in your chest, okay? That's your emotional heart. It's very important to learn how to anchor yourself into this space and to allow this area of feeling to be awake all the time and to not shut it down. What we want you to do is just follow what we say and where we're taking you as much as you possibly can through this feeling sensation in your chest. Okay, that's all you have to do, is to challenge yourself to hold as much presence as you possibly can while we go through this, okay? So everyone, bring your consciousness from your head down into your chest, into your emotional heart. And as we take the general temperature in this moment, the starting point of this emotional journey, we're going to just call it fear. So we want you to get in touch with whatever fear it is that you've got going on inside your chest. And if you try to tell yourself you don't have any, you know that you're in a state of denial, because we can feel it in almost every single human being on the planet right now. It should feel uncomfortable to feel this fear. You should feel like you want to get away from it, you don't want to spend time with it, but challenge yourself to do so anyway. So as we sit in this fear, we're going to allow it to speak, because you always want to allow the emotions to express themselves so that you can understand them. I have no idea what's going on. I'm so afraid of what's happening. I'm so afraid of what's to come. I'm so afraid nothing's ever going to get better. I'm afraid of being sick. I'm afraid of being poor. I'm afraid of people I love being sick. I'm afraid of an entire collapse. I'm afraid of enslavement. I'm so afraid of loss. So the energy is starting to change. We would say this energy is very much taking the form of loss. So we're going to allow ourselves to sink deep into this feeling of loss. Why does it seem like everything beautiful is fading away? I feel like I'm losing so much. Hope, freedom, people, money, enthusiasm, happiness. It's like I'm being torn to pieces. So we're still in this energy. The energy itself, it's like a mass crying. So we're just allowing it to express. So the energy is starting to change. We would call this hopeless. So we're going to allow ourselves to sink deep into that energy of hopeless and allow it to speak. What if this is all there is? What if it never gets better from here? I'm so tired of trying. It's easier to just sink down and let it all fall away. So now the energy has moved into what we would call exhausted. So we're going to sink deeply into exhausted. We're going to allow it to speak. It's so hard to have any energy in this place. Sometimes I feel like I can barely lift my body out of bed. Is it supposed to take this much effort just to live? What's the point? I'm so tired of living this way. So tired of lies. So tired of fighting. So tired of trying to be healthy all the time. So much effort just to keep my head above water. So now the energy is changing. We would call this the energy of letting go. So we're going to sink deep down into that energy and allow it to speak. It just seems like all of the things that I try to control, I can't. So I'm just going to let them go. It feels like giving up, but I don't even care. Because I'd rather spend my energy on things I can control. So I'm willing to let go of the things I can't. I'm willing to release my clutch. Because I realize that's what's exhausting me. It's that clutch. That need to hold on so tightly. Screw it. So the energy is starting to change now. We're going to allow it to continue changing until it comes into more focus. So we would call this energy the energy of intention. So we're going to sink deep into that. Allow it to speak. When I allow myself to take inventory of that which I can control, it's actually a lot bigger than I thought. I realize that I might not have control over these issues on a global scale, but I do have control of these issues in my own life. I realize that I have access to so much. I have access to information. I have access to my own willpower. I have access to my own giving nature and to my receiving nature. I have all the power when it comes to how I process information. I have all the power when it comes to how I choose to give. I have all the power in my choice to listen to others. I have all the power in my choice to love and comfort others. I have absolute power with who I am in the midst of any crisis. So the energy is starting to change now. So we would call this energy that it's transforming into solidarity. So we're going to sink deeply into that. And allow the energy to speak. I'm realizing that our success is completely dependent upon our ability to connect and support one another. In our ability to move through our own fear and reach out to each other, hug one another, love one another, listen to one another, connect with one another, and be present with one another through our sufferings, through our triumphs. This is our strength. In our willingness to understand our anger, we become empowered. In our willingness to face darkness together, we are able to solve all problems. in our genuine heartfelt efforts to connect with each other, we achieve wholeness. Which is a strength unpenetrable. As we connect, we are strong. As we give, we are united. As we take responsibility for ourselves and each other, we are sovereign. The sovereignty we desire is ours. We only need to be accountable for it. The freedom we desire is ours. As long as we are accountable for it. The unity we desire is ours. As long as we are accountable for it. The health of this world is ours. As long as we are accountable for it. So the energy is changing again into accountability. So we're going to sink deeply into this energy and allow it to speak. A completely free life is a completely accountable life. To be truly accountable is to be responsible for myself on every level possible. And to be overflowing with so much responsibility and willingness to be responsible that it pours out onto everyone around me. Waking us up to everything. illuminating all dysfunction in order to heal it. Illuminating all darkness in order to transform it. Illuminating all sense of entitlement in order to transform it into true responsibility and accountability. It is impossible to not have a healthy world when each person is accountable for themselves and willing to share in accountability and responsibility for one another. Healthy communities are accountable and therefore unable to be manipulated. It is time for us to be accountable for every level of our existence. Every level of our own laziness. Every level of our own cowardice. It's time for us to align with exactly what we want. And create it through our efforts. It's time to be accountable for our own sovereignty. And never accept anything less. It's time to stop expecting anyone else to do it for us. And instead hold hands and do it together. A new world awaits us. We are on the precipice of it. And our deep, deep accountability is the key to its creation. Therefore, I dedicate every moment of my life to greater and deeper levels of accountability. And with profound appreciation, I accept this important mission. Together, in accountability, we are triumphant. So slowly allow yourselves to come back. How do you guys feel?
A lot more empowered, I think, instead of being more in a state of fear, more in a state of empowerment.
Excellent.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel so more at peace because I feel so more empowered. That there's things I can do.
Excellent. Anyone else?
I was stuck in hopeless earlier today, and I feel like I have more flow now. Thank you.
Wonderful. So every time we do these, we record them. And what we are asking of you guys, those of you who are willing to be at the forefront of this energetic movement, please listen to these recordings as much as you can, at least the alchemy parts, because the energy that we're putting into it is for the whole world. So when you put your attention on it and you play it and you involve yourself in it, you speed up this process. And we would say that literally the process that you're in the middle of right now as a human race is the process of sovereignty. Many of you are realizing this, some are not realizing this. Doesn't matter, it's still happening for them too. But this isn't so much about a sickness. This is about freedom. On that note, we thank you all so much for being a part of this. We will send out the recordings shortly. And even if you weren't on our other recordings, we really encourage you to listen to the different World Alchemy sessions that we've done, because they've all addressed different aspects of what humanity is going through. And so when you're feeling, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling sad, we have alchemy sessions that really address each one of these. So once you have all of them and you've experienced them, you'll be able to tell, oh, today I'm in this state, or I feel the world in this state. I really need to play this one to help me get to a better place. And to use this as a tool in addition to practicing how to do it for yourself as well. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all.